Hi, I'm Kate Warren from Bright Life, here with another quick communication skills tip for you. And this one today is really fast. It builds on our last tip, which was all about people's different communication preferences, how people learn best and like to receive information. Here's a really quick tip to help you, in particular, communicate better with your visual learners. And it's about a rule that people tend to apply that you may not be aware of. Have you ever heard in conversation somebody say in a frustrated way, "Will you please look at me when I'm talking to you?" That person was applying something that's called the look to listen rule. And it's going to be really helpful for you to understand this, whether you're a visual learner or not. This is going to be an extremely helpful tip for you. Now, I'm a visual learner. What does that mean? Well, it means all kinds of things. But one thing it means is, here's the bit to pay attention to. If you are talking to me and I am not looking at you, I am not listening. I'm just not listening. I can't read something and hear at the same time. I can't be looking at something and hearing at the same time. So, for example, when I take a classroom course, if I can't see the teacher, I can't learn because I have to learn through watching. So in all seriousness, if I sit too far back at the room, I can't hear. Not because I'm deaf, because I can't see the teacher. If you were to come to my home when I was reading the newspaper and you spoke to me, if I didn't look up at you as you were talking, it means I didn't hear you. Because I applied the look to listen rule. If I'm not looking, I'm not listening. Now, imagine for a moment that you're me. I know that about myself. Now, imagine I'm talking to you and I'm sharing something really important to you, and you're not looking at me. What do I believe? I believe you're not listening to me, because if that was me, I wouldn't be listening. But you know, we're all different, and many people can hear perfectly well without needing to look. It's only us strongly visually dominant learners who need to look in order to listen. Other people, really don't. But if you operate through my eyes, what does it mean when I communicate with you and you don't look at me? Well, it hurts my feelings. Or I think it's, rude. Or I wish you'd look at me. Now, as a trainer, I've had to really learn not to take this personally. That when I'm presenting at the front of the room and people are taking notes or they're just staring off into space, doesn't mean they're not listening. It might mean they're not listening. But it probably doesn't mean they're not listening. It probably just means they don't share my visual style. But in my personal relationships, I really have to work to overcome this sometimes, and I do catch myself saying to people, "Please will you look at me when I'm talking to you? Please look at me when I'm speaking to you." Now, how is this helpful for you, both in your personal life and at work? Well, some of you watching this will be thinking, "Oh my, I operate the look to listen rule." It's really important to learn you have this unspoken rule in operation, and other people don't. And it's causing probably some friction in your life or some pain for you from time to time. So, first of all, do I apply the look to listen rule? Second thing to think about is, do I know somebody who applies the look to listen rule? And the classic example of this is a parent to a child saying, "Look at me when I'm talking to you." That is an example of a parent with the look to listen rule. So who do you know who applies the look to listen rule? This is really important at work, particularly if you don't want to accidentally appear disrespectful or rude or as though you're not listening. For example, if you're conducting an appraisal with someone and they have the look to listen rule and they're talking to you and you're making notes, guess what? You just offended them or hurt their feelings, and you didn't even mean to do it. So, third thing to take away, how could I be more sensitive about noticing the look to listen rule in operation and accommodating people's preferences? So, if you apply the look to listen rule yourself, how could I learn to share this with people? How could I learn to be less sensitive about it? So how could I learn to broaden my awareness and recognize that sometimes when people aren't looking at me, it doesn't mean they're not listening to me? And if you're someone who doesn't apply the look to listen rule, how could I be more sensitive to the times when it might be in operation for somebody else? And how could I become more attentive about showing people respect by looking at them when they're speaking? I hope this is helpful to you. Until next time, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.